Hello and welcome to another episode, a special episode no less, of Marty's Matchbox Makeovers. And why is it special, I hear you say? It's because it is going to include one of my favourite models as a child that I never obtained, but I finally, at the age of 65, I've obtained one. It is the CORGI Batmobile, no less, and it was donated by Alex from Paran in Melbourne. So thank you very much, Alex, if you are watching. This is an iconic model, and this is not a particularly good example, to be honest. And this video has been a long time coming because I have been waiting for this package of parts, and I had to order a lot of parts. And so now I can get this makeover underway. So here it is in all of its glory, the 1/43rd scale CORGI Batmobile, the number 267. Now apparently this is one of the most popular die-cast models ever produced and sold, get a load of this, 5 million models. I believe this could be one of the original type, although they did come out in matte black, so only for a few months, and then they went to the gloss black. But this looks like an original 1966 model, and it's missing a few bits. For example, Batman and Robin aren't there. The windscreen's smashed, the front axle and 2 wheels are missing, no missiles, the antenna on the back there is snapped, stickers peeling off, a few chips in the paint. So quite the task to undertake. Now there's a lot of parts to this model, and believe you me, it is quite difficult to put back together. Anyway, I'm going to pull it apart and give it a clean, paint it, buy some new reproduction parts, and get this thing looking brand new again. Okay, where to start? I'm guessing I am going to remove these rivets underneath, but just looking at it here, you can see there is a fantastic casting of Batman on the base. Somewhat unusual. Normally there's like a drive shaft and a differential, but not on this car. It is rather special for many reasons. These wheels are quite unique to this model. They've got the bat symbol in the middle there, and this model has rubber tyres. The later ones came out with solid tyres and then whiz wheels. The front there is very little detailing, just the headlights painted a strange yellow. I've never seen headlights that colour before. Why they didn't do them in silver, I don't know. On the back there is a flame protruding out of the exhaust of the jet engine, which operates thrusts in and out whilst you're pushing it along. On the back here you can see those wings, which are very, very commonly missing or bent, as in this case. They're going to have to be straightened out, which I can't actually see me getting away with that, but I'll have a go anyway. The transparency is all smashed and needs to be replaced. And of course, as I said before, Batman and Robin are missing. There's an unusual little button there. When you push that, watch this. There is this is one of the features of this. There's a chain cutter that comes out the front. I don't know who drives around, equips their car with a chain cutter just in case one day they're driving around and there's a chain stretched across the road. Don't quite understand that. Maybe you can enlighten me if you're a Batman fan. This little gold knurled wheel is the trigger for projecting 3 missiles from those chrome tubes. The missiles are obviously missing since Christmas 1966, no doubt. So here is a list of the parts that I've had to order online from Recover Toy, and they're quite expensive. It turns out about 80 bucks there of bits, but you know what? Hopefully you'll enjoy the video, and that will make it all worth it. So here I am unboxing this package for the first time, and there you go. Recover Toy, I must say I am not affiliated with them in any way. However, I have sourced many parts from them in the past, and they're always very well packaged and quality parts more often than not. So have a look at this. There is so much stuff missing from this model, it's not funny. I got 4 wheels. There's only 2 missing, but I thought I'd get 4 to match. I've got Batman and Robin. I've got the transparency, and we'll go through that later on. Just showing you here, recover toy, in case you want to copy me or follow my lead here and do your own CORGI Batmobile up. This is the company that sent me the parts. They're Australia based. So if you're living in the US, it might take longer than 2 weeks. It took 2 weeks for these things to come. So that's why I didn't do a video last week. Anyway, look at these wheels. They've got the bat symbol on there, just like the originals. I guess they're cast from an original example. And they're very good indeed. These are the missiles. I have no idea what the originals look like. I can only assume they look like this. They just look like hot dogs to me. And this is an antenna that is probably the second thing to go missing. First thing being the rockets. The transparency, I actually thought I had ordered a blue one. I did check the paperwork and no, I had ordered a green one by mistake. The blue and the green are very, very similar colours, so never mind. I'm going with the green. I got the rivet kit there because it was cheap and I thought I might need it. And of course, Batman and Robin. Well, it wouldn't be the Batmobile without Batman, would it? I had to get those. So here we go. This is going to be quite the journey. I apologise for the video being, I think it's like 40 minutes long, but you'll see why as I get into this makeover. So I'm centre punching those rivets. So I want to drill out the rivets extremely accurately if possible. And the other reason why I ordered the rivets is so that I could gauge, I thought they were going to be a little bit better form than this guy. I wanted to gauge the size of the shank of the rivet so that I could drill it out with the correct sized drill. So I just nip over here, get my drill, and let's start drilling. And I can tell you what, I've never drilled so much in my life on a makeover. This thing is drill, baby, drill. First of many rivets coming out. Unbeknownst to me, there are other rivets on the inside as well as on the exterior here. But 6 is enough. I mean, normally a Matchbox makeover is just 1, usually. Sometimes 2. This is 6 just to get the base off. And they are solid rivets too. Very, very strong. So I've drilled through and there's nothing sort of yielding, nothing giving way yet. So I take the risky step of going up a couple of sizes with the drill to try and get the head off so that the base can come off of the rivet. And all is going well. But remember, I'm 5 minutes in on this makeover. And I'm chewing up plenty of metal here. Have a look at that. Beautiful slow motion of the drill. And I can't believe how much scrap material here I've created. So I've drilled all those out and this is the outcome. I'm able to pull it apart. And look in there, there is so many things, a lot going on. There's a chain cutter, the steering wheel spring, the interior, the rear axle, Now this is what I was saying about. This is straight in, like 5 minutes into the build, and I've already ruined it. It's worse than it was when I started, and I am so disappointed that you would not believe that I have done that, and I am so annoyed about it. But I will soldier on and maybe try and fix it later on. That's my plan. So this is the rear axle. It's got like a cam on there that pushes on that plastic piece as you're pushing it along the rock. As the wheels are turning, it makes that afterburner flame pop in and out of the exhaust. Here's the missile firing mechanism. I'm pushing it the wrong way. You have to push the top of that wheel forwards to make it function properly, and it just flicks the missiles out using those little springs. There's a bat phone in there as well, which I didn't notice until now. Quite a cute sort of little detail. Here's the chain cutter activation parts coming out. There's a spring there also. There's two springs, the chain cutter, a release button, and the actual connecting rod as well. So a lot of bits there. I'm looking at this and thinking, do I have to drill out the rivets for the spring? I hope not, because I'm thinking, how would I repair that afterwards? And anyway, I determined that what I shall do is take these three rivets out, and I thought they were plastic, but they're not. They're metal. They look like plastic because they're painted black, and they've sort of got a rough end to them. Anyway, so once again, here I go again, drill, drill, drill. And I didn't want to go too far with the drilling, so I left a little bit of extra. I mean, I could have gone more, but I wanted to be able to snap this back on if possible at the end, and maybe glue it if necessary. So I was just prising it off there with the flat bladed screwdriver. Some unusual little bits in here. There's the tubes for the rocket launcher. They're plastic, but they look metal. They're sort of plated with that plastic chrome. I don't know what they call it. And I thought that was a little screw, and then I realized what it was. It's not a screw, it's the base of the antenna that fell out. It looks just like a little screw when I looked at it on the workbench there. I'm taking that out, and probably didn't need to, but I thought I was going to paint the chrome part. I didn't actually need to take the bat phone out, but look how small it is. I can hardly hold it with my fat thumbs. Initially, as per standard Matchbox makeover techniques, I thought I'd drill out these rivets so I could secure the base with my standard small domed headed screws. Unbeknownst to me at this stage, I have to take a different tack, have to take a different path. So although I'm going through the motions here of drilling and tapping and test fitting a screw, I actually don't end up screwing the base on. And the reason for that is that the screws I have, the heads are way too small, and the holes that I've drilled out of the base to separate the model are bigger than the head of the screws I'm using. I don't have any other screws, so luckily I did order that rivet set, because I'm going to end up using those rivets. Even though they're a little bit rough, I shall be cleaning them up and using them instead of the standard little button headed screw. So here I am showing you how those screws just fall through those massive holes in the base that I've created. But the rivets that I ordered, like I said, they're a little bit rough. I can clean them up and make them look presentable, and they will suit the purpose. I just have to very carefully drill these holes out so I can fit the rivets in there, those aluminium rivets or whatever they are. I don't know if they're aluminium or just some pot metal, but the risk is that I could have such a thin outer layer on the part that I'm drilling out that it could break through. So I'm very mindful of that, and so I go very slowly and carefully each one, drilling them out. So I'm looking underneath here, and I am having to grind down these rivets so they fit in the holes I've drilled. There's a couple there. I'm also taking off there's a seam on the top from the casting. I've filed those off too. And I've made them fit. So they're kind of individual rivets, and they have to go in a set position because they're either too long, too short, too fat, too thin. So that's why I've made that little bit of cardboard there with the rivets in. So when I put them in later, I know which order they go in and which hole they go in. Now I'm going to make the stickers for this. I could have ordered them online. I think Recovered Toy do supply them, but I thought, no, I've spent enough money, I'll make my own because I can. So I'm just printing out a load of them on this sticker sheet, and I'm just going to cut them out and use them as I need. So on to the paint stripping. This is the gloss black Batmobile. The very original ones, like I said, for the first couple of months apparently came out matte black, and then the second lot that came out with the gloss black. And I'm fairly sure this model was made in 1966 or thereabouts. And they were made in Mattel, which is not a country. It's a company in Wales, which is part of Great Britain. So these were made by Mattel originally, and later on, as they became more and more popular, China, I believe, started manufacturing the later ones. And now, even now, I think last year they released a new version of this. It's the original version, but they've started to re-release them. So you can actually buy one of these brand new. Obviously, it's not an antique now. But yeah, CORGI are remaking them. So if you want one, check that out. Be a great little thing to have. It's the most interesting model I've ever worked on. The paint was really thick, and took me a while to get it all off. But here's a look at the casting now. You can see the axle supports front and rear. There's a little plate at the front there that activates or is used to retain the spring for the chain cutter. I'm showing you there, I had an attempt at repairing the hole that I accidentally destroyed when I was drilling out the rivet, and this took up a lot more time than I wanted to spend on it. I used Muggy Weld. I just put a tiny blob on there, although with Muggy Weld I find it's like a big blob or no blob, so I ended up with quite a big blob, and to try and make it look unobtrusive, I guess you could say, I've tried to file it down, grind it out, blend it into the original base, and it took me hours. I know, sad, isn't it? But nevertheless, it's what you got to do if you're into this hobby and you want a nice car at the end of it. So I couldn't get it perfect because those holes have recessed. I didn't have the tool really to recess the weld, but I'm hoping when it's painted black no one will know unless they turn it over and look at it with a magnifying glass. Those rear wings are both bent, one more than the other. So here I go, first attempt at straightening this one. Alright, that worked very well. I'm very pleased with that, and you could say I'm happy with that. The other one, not so. I'm looking at it and thinking that's going to snap off. As sure as eggs are eggs, that's going to snap. But I thought I've got to give it a try. So I ground down these pliers so they've got a smooth face on the inside so that I don't mark the metal. And I'm giving it my best shot. I thought I'd heat the metal up with this little blowtorch that I've got. Heating. It doesn't look much, but it's amazing how quickly the temperature spreads throughout the casting. Like I could hardly hold it after only 30 seconds of heating up that very tip. The whole model became too hot to handle, really. But I'm thinking that might be enough. So I'm hoping it's softened it up somewhat. Difficult to judge. Didn't want to melt it away completely. And initially I'm thinking, yes, it seems to be bending. And then, no, it doesn't look like it's bending at all, really. It's kind of like breaking, if anything. So I thought maybe I can panel beat that flat and no one will know. But no, the end of it broke off, as you just saw. Okay, it was to be expected. And I'm thinking, well, I can probably put another blob of muggy weld on there and spend an hour or two grinding it down, if need be. But instead, what I thought I might do is, I think I'll nip the end off of this one, so it's the similar extension to the other side that I've broken, and then I shall file them down to make them look like they're supposed to be. And unless you're an expert in CORGI Batmobiles, or you've seen this video, you would not pick it seeing it on the shelf. So that's what I did. I don't usually do this, but I thought it's such a nice casting. I'll give it a bit of a burnish with the wire brush there in the drill. Clean out any remnants of paint in the grill. There's a sticker still on the side there that resisted the paint stripper, which surprised me. So I scratched that off also. Now having a look here, there's just a tiny little dint at the back there. Can't even feel it, but it just looks a bit weird. Not a bad casting. A lovely front end there with the air intake, the radiator grill. And you can see those marks on the side of the cockpit where the sticker goes as a guide to the people in the factory when they're assembling them. The base came up good, and I think that hole repair I did is not too bad at all, and I'm hoping that the head of the rivet will disguise it even more. So now, before I paint it, as per normal, I like to give them a coat of the fine primer, the light grey with Tamiya, and it just makes me feel good at this stage. I feel like I'm really making progress now. Once you do this and you look at the model and you can see, you can kind of get an idea of how good it's going to look. Yeah, it looks pretty clean, nice casting. And very, very minimal damage to it. Struggling to get that to sit up there. It's so heavy I have to use 2 of those magnetic clamps. I normally get away with 1. Same with the base. 2 magnetic clamps. So I'll just leave those to air dry whilst I go and do something else. Like a little bit of unpackaging of wheels, maybe. I hate these Ziploc bags. Sometimes I can't get them undone. Very frustrating. Looking at these rubber tires, they are absolutely beautiful. Really, really crisp, clean molding. Got CORGI toys stamped on them, a nice tread, and they look excellent. As for the wheels, they are a little bit rugged, kind of like made by some home hobbyist in his kiln or whatever he's using to make them, and they're not finished particularly well, although having said that, these may look great compared to how they came out of the mold. Anyway, I have to give them a little bit of a clean up, which is not a bad thing. This is what I've got to make them look like. I'm glad I got the 4 instead of just the 2 that were missing, because these tyres are really solid plastic. See, the ones I ordered are spongy, like rubber tyres. These ones are rock hard. I don't like them. I think maybe they've gone off somehow over the years. So I think I'm going to cut them off. And as I cut them off, they just crack like sort of coal, for want of a better word. And they're really hard and crusty. And I'm so glad I got 4 tyres. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put 2 of those new tyres on the original axle. And then I'm going to pick the best 2 of the other hubs. After I've cleaned them up, pick the best 2. And then I'll put the other 2 into stock. And hopefully it'll look good. I've never done so much drilling and filing in my life as I have with this. Well, that's not it's not true really, but there was a lot of drilling and filing to be done. After I've cleaned them up, I gave them a quick spray of gold paint. And then of course I've got to paint the bat in the middle with that lovely sort of bright red. Eventually when the gold's dry. Got a magnet there, great thing, bought it at a market once. Had a couple of them actually. One of them shattered when somebody tried to force them together, not realizing that they were attracting each other, and they snapped their thumbs between them and dropped one on the floor and it shattered. So now I've got just the one, but it was fun to watch. So the Tamiya X1 Gloss Black, that's my paint of choice for today's model. Normally I have no hassles whatsoever with Tamiya paint and my current airbrush. Today though, I failed to do what I've said in the past, always start off spraying the inside of the model. That way if it stuffs up, you won't see it. Well, what I did there, of course, was I started spraying on the outside of the model. And it went on really crusty, like sandpaper finish. So I'm thinking I'm going to have to thin it down a little bit more. And I go again, and this time I have to put it on extra thick to hide the sort of sandpaper texture of the first attempt there. Again, doesn't seem to be working. I've got some Mr. Hobby leveling fluid and I've only used it once, I think, and so I got it out and I added a couple of drops of that to the black, and instantly the paint changed into this beautiful, exactly what I wanted, this gloss black. Look at that, it just looked amazing. So Mr. Hobby leveling fluid, just put like a thimbleful of that in with the black paint, and it just changed things completely. And this is the chain cutter. I thought I could spray it gold, but no, I'll give it a clean with some metal polish, see what it comes up like. If you look at the metal cutter blade, it looks like there's a tooth missing. Like if it was a circular saw, you think there should be a tooth there. Can you see what I'm talking about? There's a dent in it. Well, that's actually meant to be there. It's where the spring-loaded retention mechanism hooks onto it when you close it into the vehicle. I actually thought this was damaged, and I thought, oh, maybe I should repair that and put another tooth on there. Luckily, I didn't, because I've since noticed, having researched online, looking at other models, that little cutaway is meant to be there. I don't know what this is. They've got an aerial on the back. Is this some kind of fancy Batmobile antenna? Not sure. Here's rocket launching tubes. I'm going to touch these up with some of this liquid chrome ink that is absolutely my favourite thing ever. Watch this, it just goes on like, oh, makes everything look brand new again. Love it. The only thing is it takes a long time to dry, so I have to leave these things like 24 hours before you can handle them. I mean, you can handle them prior to 24 hours, but 24 hours is good. Then you know you're not going to leave any fingerprints behind. And there we go. Molotow liquid chrome. The only thing I've found to clean the brushes afterwards, by the way, is methylated spirits. So if you buy the chrome ink or whatever it is, paint, I'm not too sure what it is. It's liquid chrome. If you buy that, make sure you get some methylated spirits so you can wash the brush out after you've used it. Alright, the hubs are dry. So I'm going to very carefully flood fill the bat symbol on the hub. And this is red paint, but I've added a little bit of yellow to give it that slight orange tint that was like on the original wheels. So they're not bright red, they're actually like a little bit orangey. There's another one I've done. So satisfying doing that, and thank you for CORGI for manufacturing them to make it easy to paint. Maybe it was a cheat in the factory to make production a little bit quicker. Now have a look at the bits here. I've never had so many bits and pieces to put back together, and it's quite a daunting task. Batman and Robin look absolutely brilliant. What do you think? And the dome light there didn't come with a red bit, just came with a little bit of plastic. So what I've done is I've cut a top off of an axle, the end off of an old axle, and dropped it in there, glued it and painted it red to make it look good. Now first up, I'm going to do the easy thing and put these stickers on. I thought it was easy, but they're so small and my fingers are so big I've got no nails, I can't separate the backing sheet. So eventually I get the backing sheet off, and then I have to use tweezers to try and position them. And oh, what a job. I make such a big deal out of it that trying to get them into position was hell. By the way, before I cut them out, after I cut them out, I drew around the border with a black texture. If you don't do that, then I've found in the past that when you put your sticker on, you can, especially on a black car like this, you'll see a white edge to it. So they actually turned out quite good. I'm very pleased with those. So that was the easy part. Now I have to try and work out how this goes back together. There is a set order of positioning the parts, and if you get them in the wrong order, then you have to tip them all out on the table and try again. And that's what I did many times. Extremely frustrating. You wouldn't have wanted to be around at the time. I was swearing and cursing and throwing, well, I wasn't throwing things, but I was getting so stressed trying to get this thing back together. See that bit there? I didn't know. First of all, you've got to try and hook it around the end of the transparency there, push it down in there so it stays there. And then when you try and put the other bit on, you realise that the dashboard should go through the other bit. You'll see what I mean in a second. That's just a test fit there of Batman in the seat, but even he doesn't really seem too comfortable sitting in there. Looks a bit loose. See this silver piece in my left hand? I'm just putting the bat phone back in. Like I said, I shouldn't have bothered taking it out actually. But the dashboard has to go through where above the bat phone, and I didn't realise, and I'm trying to work out how to get it to go back together. And I'm confused because there's like a handle hanging down from the roof that goes through the hole. Anyway, eventually I kind of looked at it and thought, I've managed to get all the bits back in there and they look like they might function correctly. And all I've got to do is somehow get the base on, which was extremely difficult. And the reason was that the transparency, like the cockpit plastic bit, was too thick. Was actually manufactured too thick, and because it was so thick, the base wouldn't fit on, believe it or not. And it took me forever to work out what I was doing wrong, because there was so many bits in there. I thought maybe I'd put a bit in the wrong spot, but no, it was because the windscreen was too thick. So anyway, I got it back together and I put some clamps on it because it would just fall apart otherwise, because there's so much pressure in there. Like everything's trying to force the base off. I can't wait to get these rivets in. So what I do is I put a bit of arrow dye in the hole and then I'm pushing the rivets in, and hopefully I'm thinking they're going to hold the base on when the arrowdite cures. This whole thing is just scary. You know, if you get a little bit of arrowdite on your finger and then you pick the model up, you've got to repaint it, which would mean I'd have to pull it apart again. And I'm absolutely scared of stuffing something up. Anyway, I get all the bits back together. I paint the headlights yellow, and now it's time for the finishing touch, which is load up the missile tubes with the missiles. I'll just scratch off the end of the sprue there and chunk, there we go. She's all ready to go. So here is a quick reminder of what we started with. And this is what it looks like now. Absolutely love it. I love this car. Like I said, I wanted one when I was a kid, and I was only 4 when they came out, so I must have liked it when... I mean, they sold 5 million. How many other people wanted one that didn't get one? It is such a cool thing to have, and I can't believe I have it now. It just looks brilliant. Now that Batman and Robin are sitting in there, it just looks amazing. It's so cool. I can't rave about it enough. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoy seeing the finished product as much as I do. This will go front and center of the main display cabinet. And I even produced a box. I downloaded the template offline and made a little box for it. Is that? I'll fire a missile. Ready? Hey!
I didn't even see it.
I didn't either. Ready?
Yeah.
Oh, that was 2. Fired 1 and then 2. So all 3 have expended. Not one of them went off. Disappointing. Holy smoke, Batman! Some insane person has stretched a piece of chain randomly across the road. No matter, Robin, let's deploy the chain cutter. Didn't work. So thank you all for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the show, and if you have, please like, subscribe and recommend to your friends. Until next time, this is Marty from Marty's Matchbox Makeovers saying goodbye. Hello and welcome to a special episode of Marty's Matchbox Makeovers. Why is it special, I ask? What the is going on? Mother